Good work, soldier!
Hey there! Welcome to Casa de Maggie. I thought I'd kill some time doing what I do best. I sort of forgot you were coming over, or I would have cleaned up. Oh well. You're probably wondering what we've got jammed into this issue. First, we went up to Electronic Arts in Vancouver to see how SSX Tricky was coming along. After watching this segment, be sure and check out the demo in the vault. Then we asked the producer of Hot Shots Golf to show us what it takes to make a US version of a Japanese game. If you ever wanted to be a musician but you're lacking in talent, then the PlayStation 2 could be your instrument of choice.
So killer, dude.
Check out our segment on frequency and maybe you can develop those musical chops you never knew you had. And for those die-hard RPG fans, the development team at Square gave us a sneak peek at Final Fantasy X. Well, I've got a few more demos to try in the vault, so I hope you don't mind letting yourselves out. Happy gaming, and I'll see you next issue.
I chose to play the game. It didn't choose me. Sure, things weren't always easy.
Friends, fighting, school, drugs.
But the game taught me the fundamentals of life.
Honesty, teamwork, trust.
I knew drugs, even weed, would get in the way. Football, my anti-drug. Now I'm the teacher.
This battle is not an act of aggression. We will attack their spirit and make them submit.
Meet your death, maggot.
Another arm. Be careful.
It's useless! You are a better general than I have heard! I will fight to the end!
The enemy officer has fallen to my blade. We must be triumphant.
Now, attack with everything you have.
We will not let them pass our army. So, they join. It is not that easy to pass. Our arrows have no effect! What are they?
EA Sports. Big.
Welcome to SSX Tricky. Select single event. Select character. Who's your type? Elise.
You won't regret this.
Select event. Select difficult. Garibaldi.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Rota. And welcome to Garibaldi. Build up your boost with tricks. Big air bonus. takes repetition. You're out of time.
Queen of the Hill, baby!
Welcome to SSX Tricky.
it begins.
What?
Don't cry.
What the? Huh? Hey, wait! Hey, not this way.
Look. We called it sin.
Sin?
Take it. A gift from Jade.
My old man?
I hope you know how to use it. These ones don't matter. We cut through. Don't bother going after all of them. Cut the ones that matter and run. expected.
Huh? Give me a break, man!
This could be better. That! Knock it down!
What?
Trust me, you'll see. Sure. This is it. This is your story. It all begins here.
a Universal Interactive Studios production. Developed by Traveler's Tales. Crash Bandicoot, the Wrath of Cortex.
Hello. Ah, Gordon. Here you are. We just sent the sample down to the test chamber.
We've boosted the anti-mass spectrometer to 105%. Bit of a gamble, but we need the extra resolution.
The administrator is very concerned that we get a conclusive analysis of today's sample. I gather they went to some lengths to get it.
They're waiting for you, Gordon, in the test chamber.
Most of the simulation results are perfectly acceptable, you know.
It's about to go critical.
What the hell is going on with our equipment?
It wasn't meant to do this in the first place.
I'm afraid we'll be deviating a bit from standard analysis procedures today, Gordon.
Yes, but with
Access
reason.
denied.
This is a rare opportunity for us. This is the purest sample we've seen yet.
And, potentially, the most unstable.
Now, if you follow standard insertion procedures, everything will be fine.
I don't know how you can say that, although I will admit that the possibility of a resonance cascade scenario is extremely
Gordon doesn't need to hear all this. He's a highly trained professional. We've assured the administrator that nothing will go wrong.
Ah, yes, you're right. Gordon, we have complete confidence in you.
Well, go ahead. Let's let him in now.
Testing. Everything seems to be in order.
All right, Gordon. Your suit should keep you comfortable through all this. The specimen will be delivered. To you in a few moments. If you would be so good as to climb up and start the rotors, we can bring the anti-mass spectrometer to 80% and hold it there until the carrier arrives.
Activating now.
Gordon, we cannot predict how long the system can operate in this
Oh, 5%. It's probably not a problem. Probably, but I'm showing a small discrepancy. Well, no, it's well within acceptable bounds of sustaining sequence.
I've just been informed that the sample is ready for us. It should be coming up to you in a minute. Look to the delivery system for your specimen. Standard insertion for a non-standard specimen. Go ahead, Gordon. Slump the carrier into the analysis hole. What is he doing in there? Nothing you need to worry about, Gordon. Go ahead. Gordon, get away from the shutting down. No, attempt to shut down. It's not shutting down. It's not.
I never thought I'd see a resonance cascade, let alone create one.
Gordon, you're alive. Thank God for that hazard suit. I'm afraid to move him and all our phones are out. Please, get to the surface as soon as you can and let someone know we're stranded down here. You'll need me to activate the retinal scanners. I'm sure the rest of the science team will gladly help you. Wouldn't you like to get one of... Yes, let's go. force good.
I never thought I'd see a resonance cascade, let alone create one.
Gordon, you're alive. Thank God for that hazard suit. I'm afraid to move him and all our phones are out. Please, get to the surface as soon as you can and let someone know we're stranded down here. You'll need me to activate the retinal scanners. I'm sure the rest of the science team will gladly help you.
Yes.
You still say there's nothing to chaos doing?
In my trophy room.
Minor lacerations.
Yeah, we might stand a better chance if we team up. Okay, I'll secure this area.
detected.
Attention, security personnel. Proceed immediately.
Mission depleted.
Take aim. Fine. You won't even know I'm here. I'll wait right here.
Come on.
All right. You're going to have to leave me here, Gordon.
Hello, sir. That's one less horror in the world. Yep, all that target range time is gonna pay off today.
Power 50%.
Roger that. Let's run like hell. Bring it on! See you later. Yeah, let's go. Our luck has to change sooner or later. Yeah, I'll wait here. Okay, why not? Didn't want to die alone anyway.
Batman Vengeance is rated teen.
Takes a dive and then we string him up and drop him in the drink. Any questions?
In a city on the brink of chaos, where one evil falls, vengeance shall rise. Enter the world of Batman as you've never seen it before.
Hope is death.
Japan is the capital of the video game world, and many of our favorite games originate there. We wondered how a game makes the transition from Japan to North America, so we talked to Santa Monica Studios producer Taku Umasaki about the process of bringing Japan's most popular golf game to the US.
Hot Shots Golf is originally made with the Japanese market in mind. It's a huge game in Japan. Therefore, it has the art style and the characters and everything on the game is very Japanese. So we realized that we had to do a lot to it to bring it over to the States. In addition to translating the text and voices, we have to come up with different art style for the characters.
In Japan, the game has an art style that borrows heavily from Japanese animation called anime.
Up till now, there have been lots of golfing games with realistic characters, and there are still such games. But that felt too much like a golfing simulator instead of a game. That may be fine for people who actually play golf, but gamers who have never golfed were finding it incredibly hard to enjoy. So for a game style that would be fun no matter who was playing it, we went for anime-style characters, not realistic.
During Hot Shots Golf 2, we did a survey using the Japanese version, and we realized that the US audience is really not familiar with that art style. And we decided to come up with our own characters and replace the Japanese characters so it would appeal to a wider audience. We're going to do the same thing with Hot Shots Golf 3, and right now we're in the course of coming up with new wacky characters for the US market.
Both the Japanese and American versions have incorporated a brand new game engine that's improved the old features and created some new ones.
Rain looks more like rain, and wind sounds more like wind. Also, the time of day feature is a new thing. When you start playing the first hole, it might be morning scenery. But when you're at the 18th hole, you'll see the sunset. It gives you a really nice on the golf course type of experience.
It seems like there's an incredible amount of work that goes into bringing a Japanese game to the US. We wondered if Hot Shots was a typical localization.
The degree of localization in this game, I would say, is much heavier than other localization titles. For instance, role-playing games are always just pure text translation. However, with games like Hot Shots Golf, the gameplay as well as the character appeal is the essence of the game. This game is huge in Japan, and I bet they have a much harder time creating a sequel that surpasses the previous series over there in Japan. But here, I know there are hardcore game fans that love this game. They're expecting something much better for Hot Shots 3, and my goal is to beat their expectations.
Simply put, the Final Fantasy series has been the most successful and innovative in video game history. The games have captured fans by always staying on the cutting edge of technology and storytelling. Final Fantasy X is no exception. As usual, the game has a completely new storyline and a new combat system. Recently, we went to Japan and talked to the team at Squaresoft to find out how they're keeping the series fresh.
Final Fantasy X takes place in a big city called Zenarkand. They play a fictional sport called blitzball there. The main character is a popular player in this sport and comes to a place called Spila to play. When he tries to return to his hometown, he meets many different people, and that's where the story starts. In order to shock and surprise the players the way I did in Final Fantasy VII and VIII, we had to keep including new elements in the game that nobody thought of before. In Final Fantasy X, we could add the voiceovers for the characters and show the facial expressions very well. Because of that, I kept the overall story very simple. For the theme of Final Fantasy X, all of us wanted to create something that other companies hadn't done. That was our main goal. Independence is the main theme for the story. Independence from society or parents as you grow up.
This time we're introducing the count time battle system instead of using active time battle, which we used in the previous games. In this system, the player can stop time during any part of the battle. Then the player can open up a window on the screen that shows the order of attacks. So the player can play strategically by seeing which monsters are going to attack and which characters will be able to attack. I want the player to enjoy the strategy of the game. For the hardcore gamers who enjoy the battle scenes, we created something called spheres, which you receive by attacking monsters. This item allows your character to advance more quickly. For example, when you damage a monster 1.5 times more than his hit points, you can receive more spheres. This way the game maniac can be satisfied by rewarding them with faster going characters.
Go with the flow.
For the normal player, if they memorize the monster's characteristics, they can finish the battle scenes quicker. That's what we were considering when we created the battle system for this game. We took into account both audiences. By the end of the game, you will have 7 characters in your group, so we gave each character a special skill.
A flyer! That's your department, right?
Why don't we let our summoner show us what she's made of?
This way the player has to utilize each of the different characters.
Nothing to fear, the hero's here!
I want the player to think about each character's skills when you battle a strong monster, so you know which character should fight against which monster. In previous Final Fantasy games, when you would summon a monster, they gave one special attack and then left. So they were usually like magic attacks. But this time when you summon a monster, they stick around and fight alongside you.
Please, fight with us!
The summoned monsters are very important for the storyline, so I thought that the player might enjoy seeing them in a battle scene. The graphics and designs are much better this time, so the game has a greater impact. A new element that we introduced is an event scene. You will usually see these when you are fighting with a boss. So for example, you can fight on top of a flying ship or the edge of a cliff. We use a special situation to start a battle scene so the surrounding elements become part of the battle. The graphics and the camera work will change depending on the situation. This gives the player a more cinematic feel.
In the Final Fantasy series, we don't limit ourselves to just orchestral music or rock or jazz. We use any kind of music that we think is interesting. We use an orchestra and a chorus, as we have in the previous Final Fantasy games. But this time, we also use some rock and roll sounds to give some scenes a harder edge. There's a song in Final Fantasy X sung by a folk singer named Riki. She lives on an island south of Japan called Amami. We asked her to sing the main theme song in Final Fantasy X. She has such a great and beautiful voice that we're not going to translate the song into English. Even though the American audience is not going to know what she is singing about, they should grasp the feelings and emotions she's trying to get across. I'm looking forward to see what you think about it. And of course, the song will be on the US soundtrack.
Right after finishing up production on Final Fantasy VIII, we had a meeting to discuss adding voiceovers to match the beautiful images we could create.
Hey, not this way!
Look. And now that we have the PS2 and DVD quality, we have a lot more room to store things, so that everything, including the graphics and sound, can be better.
We called it sin.
The most surprising thing that I experienced in LA when we were recording the voiceovers was that all the actors came to the studio in the morning without any information, and they started right off the bat. And they performed perfectly. In Japan, we requested that all the actors in a scene be in the studio at the same time. But in LA, we recorded each character separately. I was worried how it might work out in the beginning, but it worked out great.
We have been using motion capture since Final Fantasy VIII. We didn't use it that much in Final Fantasy IX because the characters weren't designed to be lifelike. In Final Fantasy X, we used motion capture almost all the time to make the characters seem real. Now that we have the power of the PS2, we were able to have better definition in the battle scenes, with smoother movement and facial expressions for the characters. I really appreciate that we could show these details. Also, we can transition between real-time and full-motion video smoothly now, which makes me really happy. The most challenging part was, well, actually there were a lot of challenges. Particularly getting the details of facial expressions and the movement of hair and clothing. The time it took for a scene depends on the complexity of that scene. The shortest time was 2 to 3 weeks. Most of the time, though, it takes about 1 or 2 months. The longest scene we rendered took about half a year.
With all the work that's gone into it, Final Fantasy X is sure to blow away longtime fans of the series and new players alike. The Squaresoft team is excited about the game, and so are we.
The story of Final Fantasy X is really interesting. So without giving anything away, I want to encourage all the fans of the series not to give up and play all the way to the end of the game. I think you will enjoy the ending.
Have you ever dreamed of being a rock star performing killer songs to the roar of a crowd? Well, Harmonix, a Boston-based developer, has now made it possible, even if you can't play a note on a guitar. Get ready to hone your skills on the world's newest musical instrument, the PlayStation 2.
Frequency is a revolutionary rhythm music game that will convert gamers into musicians and probably a lot of musicians into gamers.
More than anything else, Frequency is a game about making music, about playing music. We've really tried to turn the game controller into a new kind of musical instrument that players need to master in order to beat the game.
We think there's two things that really separate Frequency from a lot of the other music games that we've played. One of them is that since it's a multi-track environment, you get much more deeply involved into like the fabric of the music because you're listening to each track individually and you can hear what each one does. The other thing that's different is a big part of the game is the remix mode, whereby you can take all the components of the song and put them together pretty much however you like to make your own remixes of the songs that we have in the game.
In Frequency, you enter a world that looks nothing like you've ever seen, and by using the easy-to-learn controls, you'll be making music in no time.
The gameplay in Frequency is like Tempest meets Dance Dance Revolution, where you're actually traveling down a tunnel of music, and you choose a particular track to play, which is a particular instrument, like drum, bass, voice, guitar, and you have to press the buttons to the rhythm of that particular track to complete that track.
Visually, this game is quite different from any of the preceding music games in that it's an intense visual overload experience. We're trying to capture rave-like intensity with the visual experience in this game, and that's really never been touched on in any of the other games.
Picture yourself going down a tube or a tunnel that's got 8 sides, and each one of those sides has a different instrument on it. So one of the sides may have a kick and snare track. One of the sides might have a bass track. One might have a guitar and a vocal.
The key to a music game is having great songs, and Frequency has one of the best lineups of artists ever assembled for a video game.
In terms of the music, instead of just using kind of backdrop video game music, we've actually gone out and licensed a bunch of great kick-ass music from some fantastic bands, and so the music that you're playing in this game is real music by top bands that you've heard on the radio, and not just what people normally think of as video game music.
The roster of artists who've contributed songs to Frequency is one incredible compilation. No Doubt, Powerman 5000, Fear Factory, Low Fidelity All-Stars, and Orbital all have songs in the game. And many of the songs were written for the game or are custom remixes you can't hear anywhere else.
Sony asked us, gee, is there any bands that you'd like to have in the game? And Josh, the music director, and I said, gee, what about Curve? I wonder if they'd do a track. They're not a huge draw in the U.S., but they were sort of pioneers of electronic rock in the early 90s, and I've always been a big fan. They did a custom track for us in 2 weeks, and we were thrilled. It came out great.
One of the artists who really surprised me was DJ Qbert. I didn't know what to expect from him.
The first time the guys came to me about Frequency, I was like, okay, cool, let's do some whatever scratching incorporated into video games. And as I was playing the game and testing it out, and I was like, whoa, this is really cool. I was pretty addicted at the start. Playing Frequency and scratching is kind of like the same type of energy, sort of, because when I scratch, it's free and you're totally like, having fun. And it's the same thing with video games. You're just releasing your soul through just having fun. It turned out even better than I expected.
The Qbert level is out of control. It's probably my favorite track in the game now. But frankly, during the development process, every time we got a new track from one of these artists, there was always excitement through the office because everyone was so psyched to get their hands on a new song.
Getting such an amazing group of artists involved in the game was a big challenge for the developers at Harmonix.
When we first started calling around to the artists and their management, I mean, their curiosity was definitely piqued, but it wasn't until they actually saw the game that they really started to get excited about it.
So killer, dude.
One of the biggest hurdles was just actually setting up meetings with these people, just actually getting access to them, because once we did, everybody saw like the potential of it, and if at all possible, they wanted to be a part of it.
I first heard about this game, I got an email from Ryan at Sony, and he told me that they were working on a music game. He kind of gave me the rundown a little bit. He's all, yeah, you guys could write a song, or we could take a song from your record, and the person playing it can actually remix it. They could almost create their own track out of it, and I thought that was a great idea.
In addition to the music that the bands have provided for the game, they've also provided some imagery, either short video clips or pictures, and we take that imagery and use it in the game world. So in the arenas, there are these large billboards, and actually those video clips and pictures get splattered onto those billboards so that as you're playing, for example, the No Doubt level, then there'll be images of Gwen Stefani on these billboards in the cybernetic world behind you.
The depth and frequency comes not only from the songs in the game, but the different areas in which you make your music.
There are 27 different songs in the game, but each song you can play in any number of different arenas, and the arenas are essentially visual backdrops for the tunnel that you fly through. They've got sort of different visual themes to them. As you progress through the game and beat more and more levels, you unlock more and more arenas, until if you win the game on Expert, you've unlocked all 8 arenas. In single player, you're trying to beat enough patterns to stay alive to get all the way through the song. Multiplayer is a little different. In multiplayer, you're actually trying to get more points than your opponent, and you have various power-ups and ways of kind of beating your opponent down. It's kind of similar to sort of a kart racing game in that way.
There's a lot of flexibility in this game. There's a lot of room to add to what's already there. When you're in single player mode, after you unlock all the song, you actually can also go in and kind of jam along with it. You can just kind of improvise. And there'll be notes, just like a little solo going in over everything. Or there'll be a scratch track where you can go in and scratch over the samples. So you can just kind of add your own beats over on top of it. You can recreate what's done, and then you can kind of add your little signature on top of that. When you go into remix mode, you can basically just start from scratch and do your own version of that song.
As they worked on the game, the developers realized that they were making something completely new, turning a video game into a musically creative experience.
I think the idea behind Frequency from the developers was to give people who didn't necessarily have the time or the ability or the skills to write or produce music, to get the enjoyment of actually creating music. I think it's going to appeal to a lot of different people for that very reason, because everybody loves music. Everybody's cool loves music.
One of the things we figured out was there's just millions and millions of kids with really good video game skills for which they get no real credit, but it's a real skill. So the high concept that we came up with was, hey, let's build a game that allows you to express yourself musically with a skill set that you already have, namely playing video games.
So what we've really tried to do in this game is present an experience to the user which looks and feels like a video game, and they can use the skills that they already have as video gamers to get inside it and master it. But at its core, it's a game about making music, and they realize once they're into it that what they're really doing is not playing a video game so much as playing music.
After almost a full year of playing SSX, we felt that we were ready to hit the slopes ourselves and put what we learned in the game to good use. We were wrong. While nursing our bruises, we were glad to hear that the folks at EA Canada had spent that year working on SSX Tricky.
SSX Tricky is the world of SSX a year later. The world circuit is back on this year. We have 6 of the original riders coming back and 6 new riders joining the season as well. We've got 2 new venue locations, and all last year's stops on the tour are back as well.
Over the course of the year, you can expect a normal mountain, a real mountain, would have some considerable changes. We tried to reflect the same kind of thing in our courses, but we also did a lot of deliberate work to try and make them a lot more fun and really enhance the show-off aspect of the game as well. Give the player a lot of opportunity to pull more tricks.
Garibaldi is a dramatic run.
Well, we couldn't wait to get our hands on the game, so the first thing we checked out was the new tracks.
Garibaldi is a new first course. One of the things we discovered with last year's game was that we wanted a much more forgiving first track. Large air, big drops, very fast speeds, with very wide bank turns and that. So it gives a much more compelling first experience for people to kind of get their bearings on the track.
We tried to make it easy enough for the first-time user, and yet we kept hidden shortcuts and certain elements that are very effective for the experienced user as well. We have a huge drop right off the bat. It's about 300 or so meters free fall. So yeah, it's a great new track.
Not only are there new courses to explore, but a whole new crew of riders to choose from.
Out of the 6 new characters we've got, Simon is probably one of my favorites. Last year I felt we had a lot of, pretty mainstream sort of characters. This guy brings a real element of danger or unpredictability to the mix, which is something that we're really happy with.
This is the stop! Ooh, Simon says, big hairy freaking deal. I am the man!
Luther Dwayne is a good old boy, and he thinks he's quite the competitor.
You look like you need protection, you namby-pamby, scissor freak, chumpy boot, wimp.
His sheer size is the thing you need to look out for there, as well as his attitude.
You want rough? I'll give you rough.
And you really just try and make sure that your biggest visual cues are going to come across, particularly from your rear view, which is the gameplay view for the most part. So looking at a character's butt down a hill all the time, it better look good. So I guess Luther Dwayne is probably a good example of that. He's got quite a sizable crack showing in the game.
One of my favorite new characters is a character that's been described as kind of dorky cool. His name's Eddie Wachowski. He's got a red afro. Upon physical first impressions, you're kind of going, what a dork. After you kind of get a little bit of a sense of his dialogue and his delivery and things like this, he's not so bad. He's just got his own style, his own thing going on. Eddie's voiced by David Arquette.
You're not really picking me, are you? Just kidding!
And that was a huge contributor to the overall sense of Eddie the character.
That felt worse than it looked.
Besides David Arquette, other celebrities that were involved in the game included Lucy Liu.
This is gonna be very interesting.
Billy Zane.
Buddha, wax your way to victory.
Oliver Platt.
Into hell!
And Macy Gray.
Ooh, look at them shoes!
The surprising thing for me personally was that a lot of them were familiar with the game and had actually played it quite a bit. David Arquette was quite familiar with it. Macy Gray plays with her son.
Don't sweat me, look me over, check me out.
A lot of them sit in studios and voice over movies that they work on anyway, because all that stuff has to be redone after they shoot it all, so they're used to sitting in a studio and reading scripts and really putting a lot of effort into how they deliver it. So it was pretty neat to see, actually.
I got what you need right here, baby. Let's ride. All right, let's go!
Yo, what's up with that? The improved character development is not only in the voiceover, but can be seen in the artificial intelligence.
We found that in last year's game, the pack separated reasonably quickly, and you didn't really get much of that passing people in the corners because you typically only had one guy off in the distance and maybe one person behind you. So with the 6 riders that are on the field, we worked out a much more tight racing environment. The second aspect of it that I'm really quite excited about has to do with the aggression AI. Last year we had a little bit of random probability of other riders getting a little physical with you. This year we've created a real dynamic environment to that. So they react to you based on your pre-established relationship with them as friends, enemies, and neutrals.
With no friends in the lineup, you better be careful out there today.
These characters know each other. There's animosity in some cases. There's alliances in other cases. You push your friends around, they're going to ask you what's going on. They're going to talk to you.
I thought we were friends.
You push your enemy around, and that guy's going to come after you. He's going to kick your butt down the hill.
Each one of them has a tolerance and an aggression value. The tolerance has to do with how many times you hit them before they react. There's 3 levels of reaction. One is a verbal response, the second is a little bit of a physical and verbal response, and the third level is a seek and destroy response. It's playing awesome. We're just in love with it.
Sound and music can really make the video game experience immersive. In SSX Tricky, they've taken it a step further.
EA Sports a couple of years ago built a bunch of software that we use in-house, which enables us to take music and make it change depending on events driven from the game. When we get the songs for the game, we go, actually what we could really use is your multi-tracks, and we remix the multi-tracks to give us a couple different levels of intensity on the song. So the high level would be like the standard tune that you're hearing, but if you're boarding really bad, you might take out like a guitar riff or take the bass out, so it's just like drums. And so the software actually changes this all up like on the fly. So this interactive music software that we have is this like state of the art. I mean, it's changing the music every bar depending on how well you're doing.
The interactive music is definitely cool, but what really makes you feel that you are in the game and not just playing it is the fact that the audio is in 4-channel surround sound.
We spent a lot of time this year kind of sorting out how to do DTS surround.
So what it does to the sound is you've got boarders coming in from behind you. They'll start talking at you and you can hear them coming up on your back, or if you hit something, it'll fly by you and it sounds like it's going by in full theater style sound. Once you start listening to DTS digital, it's really hard to go back to stereo because it sounds so good. It's really immersive, and it's like you're in the middle of the game.
Well, luckily for us, a bruised ego was the worst of our injuries. But at least we're in top physical condition for another winter on the SSX circuit.
Hi, my name is Jesse with the 3DO Company, and today I'm going to show you a cool move for Portal Runner for the PlayStation 2. In Portal Runner, it's very important for the player to obtain 100% of the gems collected in every single level. This opens up bonuses and Easter eggs later on as you finish the game. Let me show you how. In many of the levels, it's not very evident where gems are. You can find gems just sitting out on the ground, just like this. However, if you collect all of them, you'll notice that it doesn't add up to 100%. However, there are certain things that you can do to find the secret areas that generate gems. In this level, there are 3 piñatas hanging in the air. Shoot every single one. And it opens up the secret gems. Stand on the portal, and this will help you get 100% of all gems in the level. However, the key thing to remember throughout the whole game is that there are many things in each level that you can shoot, and it will generate secrets. So again, in Portal Runner, if you see something in the level that you can shoot, shoot it. This will be helpful for you to get 100% of all gems collected within the level, and this will open up Easter eggs and bonuses later on in the game.
Hello, my name is Nathan from the Tip Team in Consumer Service. Today I will show you a cool move for the game Eco for your PlayStation 2. The problem we have here is getting across the large chasm by the giant windmill. I'm going to show you how it's done. Take a look. We see the chasm directly ahead of us, and the lever we need to reach on the other side. To get to that lever, we need to travel to the top of the windmill, and in doing so, we need to leave the princess here because she can't make that trip. We'll go ahead and travel around the pond here over to this small staircase, or what's left of it. At the top of the staircase we find a door. Unfortunately that's locked, so we'll take the hard route up. Climb up this ledge and shimmy over to the right. And once we reach the other side, we will find 3 more ledges directly above us. Go ahead and climb up all 3 levels until you gain your footing on the final larger level. Make your way to the other side of the tower, turn around and face the windmill blades. We want to jump to the center of the windmill blade and grab on the post there. And we want to shimmy to the right, nice and slow so you do not lose your grip. Make your way to the top. And once you get above the structure, go ahead and press your triangle button to jump away from the windmill blade. Now we've made it to the top, and from here it's pretty easy sailing. Just follow the path, past the save couch there, along the wall. We're going to pass the idle doorway that we will return to once we get the princess, down to where we find the lever. Go ahead and press your circle button to pull the lever, and you'll see a cinema of the bridge emerging from the wall. Now it doesn't go all the way across, so we need to jump down to the bridge, slowly travel to its edge. Go ahead and press your R1 button to extend your hand and help the princess across. From there, you can travel back to the idle doorway. The princess will work her magic, open the door, and you're one step closer to escaping the castle. Now that you've seen it done, go ahead and try it yourself. Good luck.
Well, rumors are true. This whole acting thing and getting your own TV show, this is merely to supply me with the money for my video game Jones. I'm not like Oh, I like Miss Pac-Man. No. Slam it, shoot it, power up, kill. Twisted Metal Black kicks all kinds of butt. Dark Angel, dope. Motor Mayhem, Unreal Tournament. I would love to be, like 7 foot tall. I'm able to turn invisible with a cloaking device. I've got guns and a shotgun or something on my arm. That'd be dope. NBA Street, that is my game right now. I would so dig being a video game voice.
All right, and now the aggro crag. Player 1, victory.
So if anyone's watching and you want me on your video game, hook a brother up, call me. I just pimped myself out. Stop, Wayne. Shut up, girl. I mean, it's a horrible choice. It's like, tell me that I can't eat, but you'd give me $1 million. At that point, just give me a burger and let's call it a day. Come on, Shaq, show him. Fake out, alley-oop super combo. I'm a huge geek. I've got nice clothes because of the show, but I'm a huge geek. I crown myself winner of the game. Thank you for playing, buddy. Watch the Wayne Brady Show.
Subscribe, motherfucker.